I am learning and have learned already a million times in a million uncomfy ways that it pays to be sensitive. Let me explain. Being sensitive will ultimately be both the gateway and the gatekeeper into the realm of earthly lessons your soul may not have otherwise taken, seen, or been invited to be a part of had your sensitivity not been magnetized, illuminated, and felt. As ugly as that process might have been or currently is for you, and I know the ugly, baby, sensitivity teaches you boundaries. Duh. Sensitivity signals what your possibly well-hidden emotional needs are. Sensitivity leads you towards your own brand of abundance, devotion, and self-responsibility. When it comes to food or drink or mold or chemicals or energy or family or institutions or programs, sensitivity can be a bitch at first. But it is these tedious, annoying, and sometimes debilitating physical manifestations and expressions of your sensitivity that are the gluten-free breadcrumbs, the well-disguised entry points into the sea of your deeper soul stuff, the secrets of your sensual, embodied, loving, and childlike self you've maybe been ignoring, shaming, or shutting out. This is a highly individual path to walk and learn and play and grieve in, but regardless of your individual history, biochemistry, or genetics, you're being called deeper into your sensitivity for a very good and higher reason. So listen deeper there, explore more softly there, linger longer on the lessons here, as much as it sometimes hurts. And as you rest into the full permission and befriending of your sensitivity here, come along as we explore a day of eating for tampering, soothing, and regulating mast cells, aka your healthy histamine response. This one's for my histocystas, my viral loaders, my mold mamas. Every single meal and ingredient is completely catered to calming your mast cells with powerful plants. And it's also for you cuties who just want to eat healthier, feel the vibes, and have fun with delicious, highly anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense, healing plant meals. Alrighty, because I started the day with a gorgeous, warming, anti-histaminic healing tea, and I enjoyed that throughout the morning, I then moved into a groovy batch juicing session with what I know to be some of the most effective, mast cell stabilizing, quercetin-rich, and nutrient-dense foods. If you didn't know it, I had relatively gnarly MCAS and histamine intolerance issues starting about 10 years back for several years, among a number of other, symptoms and syndromes, because that's the nature of this stuff, as I'm sure you know. I healed what I would say was about 90% of my chronic illness issues around 2018-19, and it was largely bundled up in regulating my histamine response, tampering my mast cell madness, and pretty much eliminating my facial rashes and reactions since the advent of that fun little virus that hit our airwaves the last several years. I've had the propensity to experience some relative, what you might call flares, especially with excess stress on top of my once dormant viral loads just kind of coming back out to play. And even though those symptom creeps are nothing like what I originally experienced, which is very cool, this keeps me looped into the science and the practical nutritional methods for using nutrient density for healing, which is how it all started for me, honestly. Well, okay, scratch that. Like for many people, it technically started with an elimination diet and a low histamine approach and daily Zyrtec and things like that. And this, I learned, is not sustainable. One beautiful person who I'll credit as instilling and affirming this in me was Yasmina of Healing Histamine. I'd say Yasmina was kind of the OG person who took on MCAS and histamine intolerance with a hungry, compassionate, deep dive journalistic and evidence-based approach with food. Her ethos was, only with superior nutrition can the histamine sensitivity be better controlled. Doesn't that say it all? I found such solace and inspiration in that attitude, and it's one of the many strong pillars that is the glue of my foundational beliefs, experiences, and methods with myself and my clients to this day. So, okay, let me explain a bit further for anyone who wants that deeper context. The idea is that a low histamine diet is ultimately a well-meaning cage, and that an anti-inflammatory, mostly plant diet with smart rotations, even if it's a histamine liberator, is, in the long run, your golden ticket. This must be done so safely, and this is not medical advice. I know you know that. This juice was really good, but watercress is a strong taste. I think a nice attitude to adopt when you can would be medicinal over pleasure. Not everything has to be a pleasure explosion in your mouth. And the more you hold your taste buds' hands through that, the more powerful, free, full life you will be living. I promise you. So since I had some relative digestive rest and major hydration up until this point, which can be super supportive for this healing process, I'm now making a dense berry smoothie for lunch. A antihistaminic, anti-inflammatory day is never complete without berries. And I've got some fun stuff here to support key fatty acids, iron, and zinc as well, which are all critical for regulating mast cells. Wow. It's not for the faint of, huh? Oh! Somehow it tastes like a plum. Tastes like a plum. Really pleasant. It's really good. Between the molasses and the berries and the coconut and the pumpkin seed butter, it tastes kind of like a plum. It's not too sweet at all, obviously, but it's very delicious. Perfect texture, super dense, so good. After we layer in all those lighter, refreshing antihistaminic therapeutics, we're now bringing in even more heavy hitters when it comes to beautiful MCAS foods. This meal has some of the most powerful mast cell stabilizing and histamine regulating foods on the planet, and I worked to culinarily combine them into a beautiful, grounding din-din. And wow, when this all came together, it was so special, and I've actually been having this meal now multiple days in a row just because it's so satisfying. Black rice contains one of the highest levels of the antioxidant anthocyanin found in any food. Anthocyanins have significant anti-inflammatory properties, so when you see this rich, magical purpley, blue, red, or pink pigment in your plants, lots of it in this video, you'll know it's ultimately aiding your body in calming inflammation, which has a major impact on regulating your mast cells and preventing those chronic heightened histamine responses. The dark leafies are really important here. The red onions are rich in quercetin. Cilantro has antihistamine properties and can help with hives and anaphylaxis. The pea shoots boost your DAO. The dressing is the first ever therapeutic black seed oil dressing I've made. Let me say though, if you're new to black seed oil, you might just fancy the tahini piece here and take black seed by the spoon instead. Oof, I have way more I want to say on all these intentional plants here, but please just come away knowing that this little menu was very carefully crafted for you in the way of healing histamine issues, gut issues, and all the symptoms that come with this nastiness. If you want an artistic muse for creating antihistaminic and anti-inflammatory based meals, consider using this as a template. I always saw those food lists for this, but never got to see them really creatively or playfully presented, so I'm hoping this has given you a taste of that today, and who knows, maybe I'll have to make this a series.